Alex Ansary here. Welcome to this 11/11 broadcast of Outside the Box News. A couple things before we get started. Covering the latest protests, what's being called a riot in Portland, Oregon. There's a bit of a latency between the period in which I produce a video and get it online because I'm off grid and I'm on a certain data plan, so I upload at night. There's a little bit of work involved in setting all this up. And so if you want to support what I'm doing, the things that I'm reporting on, and really the spiritual quest to help people see beyond the illusions of separation, there's a donate link at alexansary.tv. So we're seeing Obama sign an executive order before leaving office. Obama signs executive order to achieve global vaccination agenda. And it is called Advancing the Global Health Security Agenda to Achieve a World Safe and Secure from Infectious Disease Threats. So basically the agenda is to push vaccines and normalize quarantine procedures across nations during outbreaks. Notice when things got quiet during the swine flu scare of 2009. It was in October of 2009 when Obama signed an executive order giving the government more power over freeways in the event of some sort of an outbreak, plans to quarantine certain areas and prevent travel. Of course, these are things that you're not going to see Donald Trump eliminate. Donald Trump is visiting with Barack Obama at the White House at this time. And so there's the meeting that you see, where Donald Trump is talking about lowering taxes, and there's what you don't see. And there's Michelle Obama and Donald Trump's wife going off to have tea with each other. And, just a couple weeks ago, we saw that heartfelt hug between Michelle Obama and George Bush. As far as I'm concerned, all this is in plain sight. And Donald Trump, I called him as the real establishment pick months ago. There's a reason why he's been selected for this role. And massive civil unrest is absolutely the game plan, and it's how people are responding. It's unfortunate how all protesters have been marginalized as the radical left. But the behaviors that we see in today's protesters leads one to ask himself, is it even worth it to protest anymore when you go down to some of these events and you see so much heightened emotion? Sometimes from people that aren't actually involved in putting out information themselves. Being a former Portlander, I've seen how a lot of these people are real quick to put down other people's information if they're a true independent thinker. So as far as I'm concerned, this is controlled chaos. Now, Vladimir Putin says that World War III has been averted. And Vladimir Putin has had Americans eating out of his hand for so long that people are literally mirroring those talking points. And I believe that a massive deception is actually underway. So as we see the anti-Trump protests erupt throughout the nation, we see Portland, Oregon mentioned, where police countered with pepper spray and flashbang devices. 4,000 protesters there. Some among the crowd vandalized 19 cars at a dealership in northeast Portland. Protesters then headed west over the Broadway Bridge and into the Pearl, where the windows of several businesses were smashed. And I've been talking about this on my channel, how you now have a society where people are taking out their anger on other people. But this did not start with Trump. This was happening in Portland several years ago, as well as other major cities. As soon as the media starts publicizing the high-profile police shootings and not actually doing something about the root cause of the problem, the institutional policies within our nation that enables these things, these atrocities, to continue. And many of them are. But for a lot of people, it's about storming the streets and blaming capitalism. Smashing not only a Starbucks window, but maybe a window of a car. A nice car. As we see this jealousy, envy, anger, resentment, these lower dense vibrations take people by storm, like a collective spirit. And being someone who's an ex-Portlander, I'll tell you there's a lot of reasons why I left that place. And they're going to see things like what's happening now continue to build and build and build, and innocent people that have done nothing to no one being caught in the middle. We look over at this story regarding a group of Hillary Clinton supporters. They're reported to be. I don't know that we know that they're Hillary Clinton supporters, as it was reported. But a black mob in Chicago attacked a man who voted for Trump. And the video reveals the men cheering and yelling as other supporters attack a pro-Trump man. How do they know they were Clinton supporters? See, we have mental illness on both sides of the aisle in some cases. I didn't vote for Trump, but I don't support hurting other people, assaulting other people, as I talked about in my last video. Is it even worth it to protest anymore? Being someone that was very active years ago in my 20s in Portland, Oregon, when Bush was the president. Now things are just absolutely insane. And so when I see videos like that, and I see other videos of Trump supporters being attacked, I see signs of things to come. And I see Trump as knowingly playing his role to pour the gasoline on the anger that is already there, to put people in fear. And I know this is a truth that a lot of people don't want to hear. It's a perspective that a lot of people don't agree with. A lot of people didn't agree with what I was saying about Barack Obama either in 2008. Ron Paul, on Russia Today, says that Trump should resist the neocons and the shadow government, i.e. New World Order. Quote, unfortunately, there's been several neocons that are getting closer to Trump. And he's getting his advice from them, and I don't think that's a good sign. The retired congressman said that people voted for Trump because he stood against the deep corruption in the establishment. So people were led to believe. That was further exposed during the campaign by WikiLeaks. Look at how many people trusted WikiLeaks for so long. And then WikiLeaks was only focused on the Clinton emails, and many people believe this whole WikiLeaks thing is manufactured and a product of intelligence itself. And then look at the Google Newswire. As people were telling you that Google was censoring news that was critical of Clinton. And as someone that posts news on a regular basis, it's really a part-time job, I'm constantly going to news.google.com. It's like FBI investigating Clinton, FBI director list, and all this buzz all year long has been about the Clinton emails, the Clinton emails, the Clinton emails. And in the end, the FBI does nothing. And it's all ramping up all the way to the election. Oh my God, they might actually do something to Hillary. Oh my God. And people are praying, oh my God, FBI investigator, Hillary for prison. You know, and the meme came alive like a demon out of the fire. Complete distraction with Hillary Clinton's participation. And this is not a perspective that you're used to hearing, nor that these things that we are seeing in our world are dovetailing other major changes, as above, so below. Supermoon forecast. The moon hasn't been this close in almost 69 years. On Monday, November 14th, the moon will arrive at its closest point to the Earth in 2016, a distance of 221,000 miles away. In addition, I've talked about solar flares and geomagnetic storms, and while a lot of people are only aware of how the grid could be affected by a monster solar flare, it's really how we are affected, heightened emotions. And you don't have to listen to me. You can Google protests and civil unrest and solar flares, or solar flares and war, solar flares and false flags. Now, there's not a lot of people that touch upon the false flags or staged events during solar flares, but it's a pattern that I noticed and began to talk about 3 to 4 years ago. And where we are in the timeline is the timeline and where I anticipated massive civil unrest as a precursor to a larger global conflict. The purpose of a civil unrest scenario, a civil war in this country, not between the people and the government, but amongst the people, where the government stands by and intervenes every now and then with the riot cops as people take out their anger on inanimate objects and buildings and freaking cars and innocent people. While the politicians that in many cases are working together, Hillary, friends with Trump, Trump, friends with Hillary, both of them having ties to Vladimir Putin. Are you getting any information, by the way, from some of the protests as to what's really going on with all this? I would say that you're not. And I would say that a lot of people are caught up in the collective vibe, hive mind of anarchy isn't the right word, because its true definition is no masters, no rulers. So I feel that some of these so-called anarchists, let's go back to the story in Portland, Oregon, and cover some more specific details. I think that these controlled movements, including Occupy, and even the name Occupy, rub me the wrong way. And we are the 99%. Well, the masses are actually asleep. So why would you promote mass consciousness and shanding together and Occupy? Because our country really could be fast-tracked for a situation where it is, in fact, occupied. And so everything's become about disturbance, create disturbance. Portland police say at least 29 people were arrested in the riot, and that more information would be given on the charges Friday morning. So how is it really being an anarchist when people are prohibiting others from traveling down a freeway? And could some of these movements be used to cause a massive disturbance as they bring something else from around the corner? Massive disturbance, for example, where there's gridlock in cities because there's massive protests and freeways are shut down. Travel's disrupted. And so as we see the violent response from the police on cue, we also see situations where the authorities, if you will, allow certain situations to erupt out of control. And then you see the mainstream media, you see CNN, you see even Fox News air that footage to either promote, in a way, monkey see, monkey do, as we see from MSNBC and CNN, or to be in a state of absolute fear. Oh my God, if you come across someone who doesn't like Trump, they might be one of those individuals that has some sort of support of these attacks on these Trump supporters. You know, as people see, the imagery of the black mob beating that white man over and over and over, and punching his head in the concrete and kicking and surrounding him like a bunch of hyenas, the terror. And so you're going to see more of this, and I'll be reporting on it. You're going to see more of this. Oh my God, the end of the world is here. Donald Trump is the president. And he is a puppet of the New World Order. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world. And then on the other hand, oh my God, we have all these anti-Trump protesters. America needs more law and order. We need more police. More of this divide within the American consciousness. According to KPTV, one driver had her windshield smashed, and someone painted "Capitalism Kills" on a nearby convenience store. Police declared the protest a riot at about 8:30. So when I was actually producing that video, and there's often times where I'm tapping into something in the zeitgeist while it's happening or about to happen, and that video hasn't even been uploaded at the time that I'm recording this. Then I'm just, having these flashbacks to all this insane behavior and rude behavior. There's a reason why I stopped going to protests years ago. And there's a reason why I did not get involved in Black Lives Matter. Because you can feel the controlled chaos in the air itself. In the spirits of those that are going to some of these protests that have found it justifiable in their mind to attack someone's private property or attack a woman or a woman's windshield because someone's upset. How do you know unless you had a sticker? But in many cases, people on roads that want to go through a mob are threatened, attacked, people punching at their cars for that car daring to go down a road. How do they know that that person driving that car doesn't have some of the same feelings that the mob has? The only difference between that person, that car, and the mob is that that person in the car is trying to go about their way. The person in that car is not part of the mob. Thus, they become guilty in the eyes of the mob. I'm a person that lived in Portland, Oregon, had a show for 10 years. And people there, where all these protests are taking place, talk to me with disrespect, calling me a conspiracy theorist because I wasn't on board these mainline ideas of what a revolution is. Occupy this, storm this, blame the police for all this, call them all killers, just get emotionally reactive. And so somebody commented, well, Alex, why would you go off grid if you feel so passionately about all this? Why don't you go try to affect some change? By what? Being a part of a mob? I will affect change by helping people see through this controlled chaos and the illusions of separation, which are racial and beyond racial. Thinking that you're not affected by the bombs dropping in Afghanistan or Syria as part of the illusions of separation. I'm not affected by that. I live over here. Or I live off the grid. Or I like my job. And I like the new president. I have faith things are going to work out. And Trump and Putin are going to be friends. And see, all that selfish thinking. Illusions of separation. Oh, no, you're not affected by that. But you are. We all are. So you have to understand, some of these people that are protesting feel that. And they feel that sense of urgency. The problem is, we've been divided and conquered. Where were those protests several months ago? You know, there was all this information, NATO on Russia's doorstep. And all of this rhetoric, Biden threatening Russia with cyber attacks. Where were the protests then? So they're labeled anti-war. They're really like, it's like controlled anti-war opposition. It activates when there's a Republican in office, and it goes to sleep when there's a Democrat. And if you or I dissent against the establishment's pick, where presidents are selected, not elected, if you question what's going on with Donald Trump and why he's really there, then they call us a radical leftist Democrat. And so when I say that you're dealing with cognitive impairment in people that have become way too emotional, have allowed their emotions to control them, have allowed the media to control them, have allowed this controlled political circus to control them. That's the situation that we're dealing with. So I warn you, concerning the psychology that's going on out there, some people you cannot rationalize with on the left and on the right. Those mainstream anti-Trump protesters that are burning things in effigy and burning flags and causing destruction and giving the police an excuse to increase their own budgets so they can deal with this new domestic threat, as Trump has already prepped us for. It's time to be a nation of law and order. Going over a couple more facts here before we close. The State Department of Transportation shut down I-5 between the Markham Bridge and the Fremont Bridge due to the demonstration. The same thing happened with Ferguson, as CNN was promoting the protest then and giving it coverage, playing their role in it. The same freeway, the same area in Southeast Portland. And if you go to alexhansery.tv and you look at the best of OTBTV, look at my Ferguson episode. And I'm discussing the insane situation that erupted that night. Some people were actually arming themselves with rocks from a construction site. So I'm going to sum this up. What you're dealing with here in Portland, again, there's a lot of unrest because there's a lot of things that aren't so cool that are happening in Portland. I mean, that right there, construction site. There's a big building boom in Portland. It's been considered one of the top cities to move to for many, many years. So many people have become homeless, and it's attracted somewhat of an energy vampire class, as I call them, as the social zombie apocalypse continues. That zombie behavior there, to take out your frustrations, you can go down to City Hall. You can become a part of the local activist movement in Portland if you're upset about what's going on. Maybe call out the real estate mafia. People like Terry Bean, that was arrested for having sex with a 13-year-old, who's a massive tycoon in the real estate company there, industry there. Close ties with the Oregon governor, Kate Brown. friends of current outgoing mayor, Charlie Hales. Okay, so people are upset about losing their homes or not being able to afford rent. Obama was the president the last 8 years. Trump wasn't. And so now you're erupting and Trump is the excuse for literally starting fires, burning flags, acting a fool, smashing windshields. So in the days ahead, there's going to be a lot more that's going to be following. And a lot of people are going to assume that all this is coming from Soros. And unfortunately, they're going to miss the big picture. Donald Trump himself has been selected by the establishment that wants to see this controlled chaos within this country. I'm Alex Ansary signing off. This has been our 11/11 report for Outside the Box News. Visit alexansary.tv and click the donate link if you support these broadcasts. Subscribe if you're new. Share this video with your friends and family, and I'll be back with more.